"We did not create humans," replied Guardian. "We found them. On Earth, a primitive species with remarkable potential. We saw in them what we once were: curious, adaptable, compassionate. We shared a portion of our DNA with them. We knew one day they would join the stars." The images shifted again, showing the Vexenar rebelling, attacking Forerunner worlds. The Vexenar were designed for protection, but they grew to love war above all else. When we tried to limit their aggression, they turned against us. "What happened to the Forerunners?" asked Frank. Guardian was silent for a moment. "We ascended. After the Vexenar rebellion was contained, we chose to evolve beyond physical form. But we left behind our technology for our children, humans, when they were ready." Suddenly, alarms blared. Zextar received an urgent message. "A massive Vexenar fleet is approaching. Hundreds of ships. Vex-Kadrath leads them." Frank turned to Guardian. "Can you help us stop them?" "The choice is yours," said Guardian. "All Forerunner systems across the galaxy can be activated from this nexus. Defense networks, construction facilities, healing centers, all waiting for human control." Frank looked at his team. "This is bigger than just winning a war. This is about what comes after." Lisa stepped forward. "The Vexenar think power is everything. We need to show them a different way." Frank nodded and turned back to Guardian. "We'll activate the defense systems to stop Vex-Kadrath's fleet, but we want peace, not destruction." "As you wish," said Guardian. Frank reached into the pillar of light and touched the sphere. Energy flowed through his armor and into his body. His mind expanded, suddenly able to see countless Forerunner systems across the galaxy. He activated the defense network. Ancient satellites and stations came to life after 50,000 years of sleep. When Vex-Kadrath's fleet arrived, they found their weapons disabled, their ships held in place by invisible fields. Frank's voice was transmitted to every Vexenar ship. "This ends now. Not with your destruction, but with a new beginning." In the chamber, Guardian's light grew brighter. "The children of Earth have claimed their inheritance. The cycle continues." Allison took Frank's hand. "What happens now?" Frank looked at the stars displayed around them. Countless worlds waiting to be healed, to be built upon, to be protected. "Now," he said, "we show the galaxy what humans were meant to do. Not conquer, but connect. Not rule, but serve. The Forerunners believed in us. It's time we lived up to that faith." The light from the Nexus core spread outward, touching each human in the room. Their armor glowed brighter than ever before. A new chapter in galactic history had begun, and it all started because they couldn't activate the armor. Then a human touched it, and everything changed. 3 weeks after the Battle of Krydia, Frank stood in a vast chamber deep beneath the surface of a distant planet called Terminus. Coalition forces had pushed back the Vexenar on multiple fronts. The tide of the war was turning. Allison walked beside him, her face lit by the soft blue glow coming from the walls. Team Inheritance followed behind them, all 20 humans still wearing their armor. "This is it," said Zextar, who led the group. "The greatest Forerunner vault we have found. Our scientists spent years trying to enter, but the door only opened when humans arrived." They approached a massive circular door covered in symbols. Frank placed his hand on it. The symbols lit up, and the door slid open smoothly. Inside was a chamber larger than any they had seen before. In the center stood a pillar of light stretching from floor to ceiling. Within the light floated what looked like a small silver sphere. "What is it?" asked Lisa. "Sentinel." Frank asked his eye. "This is the Nexus core," replied Sentinel. "The central repository of Forerunner knowledge and control systems." Allison checked her scanner. "The energy readings are off the charts." Frank approached the pillar of light carefully. As he got closer, the sphere pulsed brighter. "Human DNA detected," said a new voice, deeper than Sentinel's. "Access granted to the inheritors." The light shifted, and the sphere expanded. It projected images all around the chamber. Stars, planets, ships, and strange machines. "I am Guardian," said the voice, "keeper of the Forerunner legacy. We have waited long for your arrival." Frank's heart beat faster. "We are from Earth. We only recently joined the galactic community." "Earth," said Guardian. "Our final sanctuary. Our last hope." The images changed to show tall, humanoid figures with advanced technology. They looked similar to humans, but with slightly different proportions. "These are the Forerunners," said Guardian. 50,000 years ago, our civilization spanned the galaxy. We created many species, including the Vexenar, to serve different purposes. "Why did you create humans?" asked Allison. The Vexenar commander rose from his seat. He was much larger than the other Vexenar, nearly 10 feet tall. His exoskeleton was dark red instead of black, and he had more armor plates covering his body. "Humans," he hissed. "I am Supreme Commander Vexkedrath. You are bold to come here." Frank stepped forward. "We want you to leave Krydia. Call off your attack." Vexkedrath made a clicking sound that might have been laughter. "You wear the armor of the creators, yet you understand nothing of your power or your purpose." "What do you mean?" asked Frank. The commander's many eyes narrowed. "The Forerunners created us too, human. We were their weapons, their soldiers. But they abandoned us. Then they chose your kind to inherit their legacy." This surprised Frank. "The Vexenar were created by the Forerunners." "Yes, and when they left, they locked away their technology so only their chosen ones, humans, could use it." Vexkedrath's voice was bitter. "We have fought for centuries to take what should have been ours." Lisa stepped beside Frank. "That doesn't give you the right to attack peaceful worlds." "Peace is weakness," said the commander. "The Forerunners knew this. That is why they made us for war." Suddenly, explosions shook the ship. The other humans had planted their devices on the ship's systems. "Now," shouted Frank. The 4 humans attacked at once. Their armor glowed bright blue as they moved with incredible speed. Vexenar guards fired weapons, but the human shields blocked everything. Jack reached the main control panel first. He placed his armored hand on it. "Sentinel, can you interface with their systems?" "Attempting connection," replied his eye. "Access granted. Their security is not designed to stop Forerunner technology." Lisa and Sam held off the Vexenar guards while Frank faced Vexkedrath. The commander drew a large energy blade and swung it at Frank. Frank raised his arm. An energy shield formed, blocking the attack. The impact sent him sliding back several feet. "You are strong, human," said Vexkedrath. "But I have fought for 300 years. You have worn that armor for days." Frank felt his armor respond to his thoughts. Energy gathered around his fist. He punched forward, sending a blast that hit the commander in the chest. Vexkedrath stumbled but didn't fall. "Ship systems compromised," called Jack. "I shut down their weapons and engines." Vexkedrath roared in anger. He leaped at Frank with surprising speed. His claws scratched Frank's armor, leaving marks on the ancient metal. "Armor integrity at 80%, warned Sentinel." Frank knew he couldn't match the commander's experience. But he had something else. "Team inheritance," he called over the comm to all 20 humans. "Focus your energy on the command ship. Now." Across the ship's hull, the other 16 humans placed their hands on the metal surface. Their armor glowed brighter as they channeled energy into the ship. Inside, Frank felt the connection. Energy flowed between all 20 suits of armor, creating a network. "What are you doing?" demanded Vexkedrath. Frank smiled behind his helmet. "Showing you what humans can do together." A wave of blue energy surged through the ship. It didn't damage anything, but every piece of Vexenar technology shut down. Lights went out. Weapons powered down. Even Vexkedrath's energy blade flickered and died. Only the human's armor still glowed in the darkness. "This ship is dead in space," said Frank. "Your ground forces are cut off from commands. It's over." Vexkedrath stood still in the dim blue light. Perhaps this battle. But not the war. Human. Frank stepped closer to the commander. The Forerunners chose humans for a reason. Maybe it's time you accepted that. Never, hissed the commander. The Vexnar will never accept being second to humans. Frank looked at his team. They had won this fight, but Vex Kedrath was right. The war wasn't over. Jack, signal the Coalition fleet. Tell them we've taken the command ship. As Coalition ships approached, Frank watched Vex Kedrath carefully. The commander seemed to be studying the humans and their armor. You have much to learn about your inheritance, human, said Vex Kedrath quietly. The Forerunners left more than just weapons. They left a warning. Team Inheritance hit the ground with tremendous force. Their armor absorbed the impact, creating small craters where they landed. The Vexnar soldiers nearby stopped and stared at the strange blue glowing figures. Frank stood tall and activated his comm system. Team Inheritance spread out and pushed toward the city center. Priority is saving Coalition forces. The humans moved with incredible speed. Their armor enhanced every movement, making them faster and stronger than any normal person could be. Jack and Lisa ran down a main street, encountering a group of 30 Vexnar. The insect-like aliens fired their weapons. Energy bolts flew toward the humans. Shields up, called Jack. Blue energy fields appeared around both humans, absorbing the hits. Lisa raised her hand, and her armor responded. A burst of energy shot from her palm, hitting 5 Vexnar at once. They fell to the ground, stunned. Jack moved in close, his armored fists striking with the force of small bombs. The Vexnar tried to fight back with their claws, but they couldn't pierce the ancient armor. Across the city, similar scenes played out. The humans moved like blurs, striking and dodging. The Vexnar had never faced anything like them. Frank led a team of 5 toward the Coalition command center. They found it surrounded by hundreds of Vexnar troops. Sentinel, options. Frank asked his eye. Recommend area effect attack. Energy wave available. Frank nodded. Team, focus your energy. Follow my lead. The 5 humans stood in a line. They raised their hands together, palms out. Blue energy gathered around them, growing brighter. Now, shouted Frank. A massive wave of energy burst from the humans. It swept across the battlefield, knocking down Vexnar soldiers like toys. None were killed, but all were stunned. The Coalition forces watched in amazement as the armored humans cleared a path to the command center. Inside, Frank met with the Coalition general, a tall alien with 6 eyes and green skin. Who are you? Asked the general. Humans, replied Frank. We're here to help. The general looked at their glowing armor. That is Forerunner technology. How is this possible? Long story, said Frank. What's the situation here? The general showed them a map. We are losing the city. The Vexnar have a command ship in orbit that coordinates their attacks. Our ships cannot get close enough to destroy it. Frank studied the map. An idea formed in his mind. Sentinel, can our armor survive space for how long? With full shields, approximately 20 minutes. Frank turned to his team. I have a plan. We're going to take out that command ship. Back outside, Frank gathered all 20 humans. Team, we're heading to space. Target is the Vexnar command ship. Follow me and stay in formation. The humans activated their armor's jump systems. Blue energy gathered around their feet. Then, like rockets, they shot upward into the sky. Coalition and Vexnar forces alike stopped fighting to watch the 20 blue streaks rise toward space. As they left the atmosphere, Frank felt the familiar emptiness of space. His armor sealed completely, providing oxygen and protection. There it is, said Lisa over the comm. Ahead floated a massive Vexnar ship. It was shaped like a giant insect, with spiky legs extending from its sides. 15 minutes of air left, warned Sentinel. Then we work fast, said Frank. Jack, Lisa, Sam with me. We find the bridge. Everyone else, cause a distraction. The humans split into groups. They used their armor's propulsion systems to fly toward the ship. The Vexnar noticed them too late. By the time defense systems activated, the humans were already landing on the ship's hull. Jack used his enhanced strength to tear open a hatch. They slipped inside, finding themselves in a dark corridor. The air was breathable but smelled strange. "Sentinel, where's the command center?" asked Frank. A map appeared in his vision. Central section, 2 levels up. The 4 humans moved quickly through the ship. They encountered Vexnar soldiers, but dealt with them easily. Their armor made them nearly unstoppable. Outside, the other humans planted special devices on the ship's weapons systems. Devices Zextar had given them. Finally, Frank's team reached the bridge. Inside, a large Vexnar commander sat on a raised platform. Around him, crew members operated control panels. "Now," said Frank, "let's show them what humans can really do." 1 week later, Frank stood in a large room on the Coalition's main ship. With him were 20 humans from Earth. They had been chosen carefully: soldiers, scientists, and engineers. The best Earth had to offer. "Welcome to Operation Inheritance," Frank said to the group. "You've all been briefed on the situation. The Vexnar are attacking Coalition worlds. They want to stop humans from finding more Forerunner technology." A tall woman named Lisa Kelly raised her hand. "Is it true? Are we related to these Forerunners?" Allison stepped forward. "All evidence points to yes. The Forerunners visited Earth thousands of years ago. They mixed their DNA with early humans. That's why we can use their technology." Frank pointed to 20 sets of armor floating in special containers around the room. "Each of you will be paired with a suit of armor. We found these in the other vaults." Jack Rivera, a former Navy SEAL, looked skeptical. "And these suits will make us super soldiers." "See for yourselves," said Frank. He nodded to Zextar, who opened the containers. One by one, the humans approached the armor. As soon as they touched the pieces, the armor activated. Blue lines glowed across the surface. The pieces attached themselves to their new users. "This feels amazing," said Lisa as her armor formed around her body. "The neural link hit stronger with time," Frank explained. "You'll learn to communicate with your armor's eye." For 3 days, Frank and Allison trained the team. They learned to use the enhanced strength, speed, and reflexes the armor provided. They practiced with the energy shields and weapons. On the 4th day, Zextar called them to the command center. A large screen showed a map of Coalition space. Red dots marked Vexnar attacks. "The situation is worse than we feared," said Zextar. "The Vexnar have new weapons technology. They've taken 3 border worlds already." "What about Earth?" asked Frank. "So far, they haven't attacked your world. But our intelligence suggests they will soon. They want to capture more humans for study." Lisa stepped forward in her armor. "So what's the plan?" Zextar pointed to a planet on the map. "Planet Cridia is under heavy attack. It's a major Coalition manufacturing world. If it falls, we lose 20% of our fleet production. And you want us to save it," said Jack. "Your team will deploy to Cridia." Confirmed Zextar. "Stop the Vexnar advance. Show them that humans and Forerunner technology are a force to be feared." The human team boarded a Coalition battle cruiser. As they approached Cridia, they saw the battle raging around the planet. Vexnar ships fired on Coalition defenses. The once beautiful green world now had large areas burning. "Team Inheritance, prepare for drop," said Frank over the comm. "Remember your training." 20 armored humans stood in the drop bay. Their suits glowed blue in the dim light. "Sentinel," Frank asked his eye, "what can you tell us about Cridia?" "Scanning planetary database," replied Sentinel. "Cridia has a population of 500 million. Major shipyards in the northern continent. Current Vexnar forces estimated at 50,000 ground troops." "That's a lot of bugs," muttered Jack. "We have the advantage," Frank reminded them. 1 human in Forerunner armor is worth 100 Vexnar soldiers. The dropship doors opened. Below them, they could see Krydia's main city under attack. Vexnar forces moved through the streets. Coalition defenders were falling back. Humans, called a voice. A coalition general appeared on their screens. We cannot hold the city center much longer. Our forces are surrounded. Frank looked at his team. 20 humans in ancient armor, about to change the course of an interstellar war. Team Inheritance, he commanded. Drop now. The armored humans leaped from the ship. They fell through the atmosphere, their armor protecting them from the heat. Blue energy trails followed them like shooting stars. From the ground, the Vexnar looked up to see 20 blue lights falling from the sky. They didn't know it yet, but everything was about to change. The Coalition shuttle shot into space. Vexnar ships fired at them, but their pilot was skilled. They dodged the energy blasts and jumped to light speed. Frank sat still as Allison and Vril examined the armor he still wore. The blue lines pulsed steadily across its surface. "Can you remove it?" asked Zextar. "Sentinel, can I take off the armor?" Frank asked mentally. "Affirmative." Disengage command accepted. The armor pieces loosened and floated away from Frank's body. They hovered in the air, then settled gently on the floor of the shuttle. "Extraordinary," said Vril, scanning the pieces with the device. "The armor responds to verbal and mental commands from you." Allison looked thoughtful. "We need to understand why only humans can activate it." The shuttle arrived at a massive Coalition ship. Inside, they were taken to a large meeting room. Leaders from different Coalition species gathered to hear what happened. Frank told them how the armor worked, how it made him stronger and faster, how its AI, Sentinel, helped him fight. An elder alien with gray skin spoke. "This is troubling. Humans are the newest, least advanced species in the Coalition. Yet they alone can use Forerunner technology. It must be a coincidence," said another alien. "Or perhaps not," said Allison. She stood and addressed the group. "I've been studying the data from the armor. Its sensors scan for specific genetic markers, markers that only humans have." The room went quiet. "Are you suggesting humans are related to the Forerunners?" asked Zextar. "I'm saying it's possible," replied Allison. "The armor was designed for beings with our exact genetic structure." The gray alien looked upset. "Impossible. Humans evolved on Earth. The Forerunners existed across the galaxy." Allison nodded. "Yes, but what if some Forerunners visited Earth long ago? What if they left something behind? Something in our DNA?" Frank thought about this. Could humans really be descendants of an ancient advanced species? Vril approached with new data. "We analyzed the language the armor's eye uses when communicating with Captain Miller. It shares patterns with ancient human languages." Zextar turned to Frank. "We need to know more. Will you allow more tests on the armor and your connection to it?" Frank nodded. "Of course." For 3 days, Frank worked with Coalition scientists. They tested the armor's abilities. It could make him 10 times stronger than normal. He could jump higher, run faster, and even survive in space for short periods. But most interesting was what Sentinel told him about the Forerunners. "The creators seeded many worlds," Sentinel explained. "Earth was one of their special projects. They mixed their DNA with early life forms there." Frank shared this with Allison in private. "So we are part Forerunner," she said. "That explains why the armor works for us. But why did they do this? Why Earth?" Before Allison could answer, alarms sounded throughout the ship. Zextar rushed in. "The Vexnar have launched a major attack. Multiple Coalition worlds are under assault." "Why now?" asked Frank. "Because of you," said Zextar. "They know humans can activate Forerunner technology. They fear what else you might find." Frank looked at the armor pieces which had been brought to the lab. "Sentinel, can other humans use Forerunner technology too?" "Affirmative. All humans with pure genetic markers can interface with Forerunner systems." An idea formed in Frank's mind. "Zextar, were there other artifacts in the vault besides this armor?" "Yes. Many weapons and devices we could not activate. And are there other vaults? Our records show 3 more possible locations. Frank picked up the chest piece of the armor. It hummed with energy, ready to connect with him again. We need to get to those vaults, said Frank. And we need more humans. If I can use this armor, others can too. Allison understood immediately. An elite human team, each with Forerunner armor. Zextar nodded slowly. I will speak with Coalition Command. The Vexnar must be stopped. Frank looked at the armor in his hands. Finding out humans were connected to the Forerunners had changed everything. Now the question was, could they live up to that legacy? The ground shook again. Dust fell from the ceiling as the Vexnar weapons hit the mountain above them. We must reach the ships, said Zextar. The vault's defenses cannot hold much longer. Frank took a step in the armor. It felt like he was wearing nothing at all. When he moved, the armor moved with him perfectly. Status report, said the voice in his head. Who are you? Frank whispered. I am Sentinel, the armor's artificial intelligence. I have been dormant for 52,381 years. Can you help us fight the Vexnar? Asked Frank. Affirmative. Combat systems are online. Allison grabbed Frank's arm. What's happening? You're talking to yourself. The armor has an eye. It's talking to me. It says it can help. Another explosion. Louder this time. Parts of the ceiling began to fall. We need to move now, said Zextar. They ran toward the exit. Frank was surprised at how fast he could move in the armor. He easily kept pace with the aliens who had longer legs than him. They reached the entrance hall just as the main door burst open. 3 insect-like creatures stepped through. They were the Vexnar, just like in the images Frank had seen. But in person, they were much more terrifying. 8 feet tall with 4 arms ending in sharp claws. Their bodies were covered in natural armor plates. Their faces had multiple eyes and mandibles that clicked together. Humans, hissed the lead Vexnar. Give them to us. Zextar stepped forward. You will not take them, Vexcor. The Vexnar leader laughed. You cannot stop us. Our fleet surrounds this planet. Frank felt the armor grow warm. Icons appeared in his vision, showing him information about the Vexnar. Their weak spots. Their weapons. Sentinel. Frank whispered. What can this armor do? Full combat capabilities available. Strength enhancement active. Energy shields online. Weapon systems ready. Frank stepped forward. Let us pass. The Vexnar looked at him. The human wears the ancient armor. Impossible. Not impossible, said Frank. Just unexpected. The lead Vexnar raised its weapon and fired. A bolt of energy shot toward Frank. Without thinking, he raised his hand. A blue shield of energy formed in front of him, blocking the shot. Everyone stared in shock. Target locked, said Sentinel in Frank's mind. Counterattack ready. Frank raised his other hand. The armor glowed, and a blast of blue energy shot from his palm. It hit the Vexnar leader in the chest, sending him flying backward. The other Vexnar attacked. Frank moved faster than he ever had before. He dodged one attack and blocked another. His fist, covered in energy, smashed into a Vexinar's face. The creature fell to the ground. In less than a minute, all 3 Vexnar lay unconscious. Amazing, said Allison. The armor enhances everything. Strength, speed, reflexes. Frank looked at his hands. It's like the armor knows what I want to do before I do it. Zextar's communication device beeped. More Vexnar ships are landing. We must reach our shuttle. They ran outside. In the distance, they could see Vexnar troops approaching. There were at least 50 of them. We'll never make it to the ship, said Vril. Yes, we will, said Frank. He pointed to a large boulder. Sentinel, can I lift that? Affirmative. Strength enhancement at 300% normal human capacity. Frank ran to the boulder. It was the size of a car. He placed his hands under it and lifted. The rock came up easily, as if it weighed nothing. With a grunt, he threw it toward the approaching Vexnar. It crashed into their front line, scattering them. "Now run," shouted Frank. As they ran toward the shuttle, Allison looked at Frank with wide eyes. "Do you realize what this means? The armor was made for humans, not for any alien species, but for us." "But how is that possible?" asked Frank. "The Forerunners vanished 50,000 years ago. Humans weren't even in space then." Allison's face was serious. "Unless there's a connection between humans and Forerunners that no one knows about." Frank and Allison stepped out of the shuttle onto the surface of Nexus. The air was thinner than Earth's but breathable. 2 moons hung in the purple sky. Frank had never imagined he would stand on an alien world, yet here he was. "Welcome to Nexus," said Zextar. "The vault is this way." They walked across rocky ground toward a mountain. 4 other alien species from the Coalition joined them. Each looked completely different from humans and from each other. One had green scales and moved like water. Another was short with 6 eyes and thick fur. "How long has the vault been here?" asked Allison. "We discovered it 3 months ago," replied Zextar. "It is at least 50,000 years old, built by a species we call the Forerunners. They'd vanished long ago." They reached a massive door built into the mountain. It was made of a dark metal that seemed to absorb light. Strange symbols covered its surface. "Many Coalition scientists have studied the vault," said Zextar. "Inside we found amazing technology, including battle armor of remarkable design." The door slid open. They entered a long hallway lit by soft blue lights that turned on as they walked. The walls were smooth and looked like polished stone. After a mile of walking, they reached a large chamber. In the center stood a display case made of clear crystal. Inside was what looked like pieces of armor floating in the air. The armor was silver with blue lines running across it like veins. "This is the Forerunner armor," said Zextar. "We believe it was designed to enhance the wearer's abilities, but we cannot activate it." A small purple alien with 4 arms approached them. "I am Chief Scientist Thrill. For months, every species in the Coalition has tried to activate this armor. Nothing works. It does not recognize our neural patterns." Frank looked at the armor. It seemed to be made of separate pieces that would somehow fit together around a body. "What happens when you try to use it?" asked Frank. Vril made a clicking sound. "Nothing. It does not respond. We have tried every method we know." Allison studied her tablet. "According to your data, the armor pieces contain microscopic sensors that scan for compatible neural patterns. Interesting. May I?" Frank pointed at the crystal case. Zextar nodded. "You may examine it, but please do not touch the armor directly. It is priceless." The case opened with a soft hiss. Frank leaned in to look closer at the floating pieces. They reminded him of medieval armor, but much more advanced. There was a chest piece, leg guards, arm sections, and a helmet. "Our tests show the armor is made of materials unknown to our science," said Vril. "It appears to be self-repairing and may contain its own power source." Suddenly, the ship shook. A loud alarm sounded. "We are under attack," shouted Zextar. "The Vexnar have found us." The room's lights flickered. Frank lost his balance and fell forward. His hand brushed against the chest piece of the armor. The piece glowed bright blue. The blue lines across its surface pulsed like a heartbeat. The other pieces began to move. "What's happening?" yelled Vril. "I don't know. I barely touched it." Frank tried to back away, but the chest piece moved toward him. It attached itself to his chest. The other pieces followed, wrapping around his arms and legs. Within seconds, Frank was covered from neck to toe in the ancient armor. It felt light, almost weightless. The blue lines pulsed faster. "Incredible," whispered Allison. "It's responding to you." Every alien in the room stared at Frank. Some backed away in fear. Others moved closer in amazement. User recognize, said a voice inside Frank's head. Neural pattern accepted. Armor systems activating. Frank felt a warm sensation spread through his body. His vision sharpened. He could hear heartbeats across the room. "This is impossible," said Frill. "No species has ever activated the armor." Zextar stepped forward. "It seems humans are more special than we realized." Another explosion rocked the chamber. Rocks fell from the ceiling. "The Vexnar are breaking through," said Zextar. "We must evacuate." Frank looked down at his armored hands. They glowed with blue energy. "I think," he said slowly, "I might be able to help with that." The massive alien ship hung in the sky above New York City. It was 3 miles long and shaped like a crescent moon. People stopped in the streets and stared up with wide eyes. Some pointed, some took pictures, and others hugged their loved ones close. Captain Frank Miller stood on the roof of the United Nations building. His hands were steady, but his heart beat fast. 20 years in the Air Force had not prepared him for this day. Humanity's first contact with aliens. "They're right on time," said Dr. Allison Wright beside him. She adjusted her glasses and checked her tablet, just like they said in their message. Frank nodded. "Let's hope they stay this predictable." A beam of blue light shot down from the ship to the landing pad. When it faded, 5 aliens stood there. They had pale blue skin, stood 7 feet tall, and had 4 arms each. Their eyes were large and black. The tallest alien stepped forward. "I am Ambassador Zextar of the Galactic Coalition. We come in peace and friendship." Frank was surprised. The alien spoke perfect English. President Harris stepped forward. "Welcome to Earth. I am Linda Harris, leader of the United States, and this is our team selected to represent Earth." Frank and Allison followed the president into the meeting room. 5 other humans joined them, scientists, diplomats, and military officers from around the world. They sat across from the aliens at a long table. Ambassador Zextar spoke again. "For many cycles, we have watched your world. Your species is young but shows great promise. We wish to invite Earth to join the Galactic Coalition." Allison leaned forward. "How many species are in your coalition?" 27, replied Zextar, "all united in peace and shared knowledge. But we face a grave threat." The alien touched a device on his wrist. A 3D image appeared above the table. It showed insect-like creatures with sharp claws and armored bodies. "The Vexnar," said Zextar. "For 300 years, they have waged war on the Coalition. They seek to conquer all worlds and enslave their people." Frank studied the image carefully. "And now you need our help." Zextar made a sound like gentle laughter. "Your species is brave but still developing. We do not seek your military aid. We offer protection. The Vexnar will find your world eventually. Together, we stand a better chance." President Harris nodded slowly. "We need time to consider your offer. This is a big decision for our people." "Of course," said Zextar. "We will remain in orbit for 1 of your weeks." After the meeting, Frank and Allison walked together through the UN garden. "What do you think?" asked Frank. Allison shook her head. "They're hiding something. Did you notice how they kept looking at our hands and scanning us with those devices?" "I noticed. They seemed surprised by our biology, like we're different from what they expected." A week later, Frank and Allison joined the second meeting. This time, Zextar brought data about Earth's new place in the galaxy, maps of nearby stars, information about alien biology and technology. "Your species is unique," said Zextar. "Your bodies are weaker than most Coalition species, but your minds adapt quickly. Your hands have remarkable dexterity." Frank looked at his own hands. Just normal hands. Nothing special. "We have a proposal," continued Zextar. "We invite a small group of humans to visit Coalition worlds. Learn our ways. Help us understand your species better." President Harris looked at Frank and Allison. "Captain Miller and Dr. Wright will lead our delegation." 2 days later, Frank stood in his apartment. packing a small bag. His phone rang. Miller here. It's Allison. Did you read the full report they gave us? Not yet. Why? The Coalition just found something. An ancient vault on a planet called Nexus. Inside they found armor they can't activate. Her voice dropped to a whisper. And Frank, I think that's the real reason they came to Earth.